The new biography, Tiger Woods, uncovers new information about his life and career. It's published by Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. The co-authors, investigative journalist Armen and Sports Illustrated writer Jeff Benedict, did more than 400 interviews with people close to Woods. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Quite a book. Congratulations to both of you. Armen, few people go by one name like Tiger does. One of the greatest athletes ever on the planet, transformed the golf game. What did you seek to learn about him?
Well, we tried to understand him. Sort of the predominant question for both Jeff and I was, who is Tiger Woods? And to understand Tiger, you really have to go back to the beginning and really to his grandparents on his father's side, on Earl's side. And that was really our mission, is to take the whole arc of his life. There had been a number of books written about Tiger, but they were all kind of segmented into certain parts of his life. Jeff and I tried to do this 360-degree view of, as you said, Norah, probably one of the greatest athletes ever to walk the face of the earth. And when you start with that question, who is Tiger Woods, the other question is the price of fame and the price of genius. And that was really what drove us.
So tell us about his grandparents and his parents.
Well, Earl and Tita, I mean, they're a pair. For both good and bad.
Start with his name.
Yeah.
Right,
His name
Eldrick. On one side is the E for Earl, on the other side is the K for Ketilda, and literally surrounded by his parents, for good and bad, from birth. Some would argue maybe imprisoned by his parents in some ways.
His mom was the ultimate Tiger mom. His dad behind him on the golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what was so interesting to me is because I was very judgmental about Tiger Woods, I have to say. I saw him as a cheater, pumpkin eater. I met Elin a couple of times, thought she was lovely, could never understand it. And I just thought, you know, he to me was not likable, not approachable. But I read this book and my heart actually changed. And I never thought I would say that. Because you really put in context, guys, what Oprah said in her 60 Minutes piece. It's not what are you doing, it's what happened to you. And let's start with his parents. You tell a great story from the time that he was in a high chair. His dad is hitting the ball, she's feeding him. And just how that imprinted on his mind. And when Norah says ultimate Tiger mom, his mom was the one who was really had the killing machine for him, Jeff.
Yeah, and she comes to America, doesn't speak much in the way of English. She doesn't know anything about American culture. She marries a man who was married when he married her. And
who was also very unfaithful.
Who was very unfaithful. And so from the very beginning, she's sort of swept into this situation in a relationship and in a country that's very foreign to her. And then she has one child. And when she has that child, it happens right when her husband is taking up the sport of golf. And he's basically living in the garage when he's not at work. Yeah. And the baby starts coming in and sitting in the high chair and watching his dad hit golf balls. And so for her to have time with her son, she sits next to him in the high chair and in between hits, puts food in his mouth, you know, Gerber baby food or whatever it is. And to me, that if you look at formation of this young man, it all starts right there.
Jeff, you write, Tiger's inability to show gratitude, apologize, or express appreciation was rooted in this upbringing.
Yeah.
His mother pampered him like a prince. His father rarely uttered the words, thank you, or I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so there's two things there. One is Earl is a guy, I think, who felt like they were entitled. When he recognized that his son had a talent that no one else had. Yeah. I mean, there were certain things about Tiger that he just had. And then there were other parts of him that I think were taught to him by the way he was raised. But there's no question he had talent that was, I think, God-given. I mean, he was born with certain abilities that were honed by the way he was raised. But once they got out on the circuit as a junior golfer, and they're, you know, the equivalent of Little League and Pee Wee football for him was golf tournaments where he's crushing everyone. And his dad just expected that when they went to people's homes or to tournaments, they were the best and they should be treated that way.
Yeah.
So he didn't see, thank you, we appreciate you. Right. He never saw that.
His dad predicted at a very early age that he would be the greatest to ever play the game.
Yeah, the chosen one.
That he was he even used the phrase chosen one.
Imagine that on your shoulders growing up.
But the way that he treated him, he was very disparaging of him. He would put him down, and they had a code word between them that if it got too much, he was supposed to say
enough.
And he never said it.
Never said it.
I think
no matter how bad it got.
That says a lot, actually, about
so
that relationship is interesting because last year Tiger wrote his own book, and he talked about that language that his father used, which as a parent, as I have two sons and two daughters, when I read that language, the first thing I thought was, wow. I can't imagine speaking that way to one of my children and expecting that that's going to make them do better. But Tiger looks back and reflects on that now and says it helped make him who he is on the golf course. That's one of the reasons he's so hard to beat.
This is a guy who, at his peak, journalists routinely complained about was remote, was untouchable, inaccessible. Has that changed?
Yes, it has changed. And I think it changed last year about this time when he found himself on the side of the road in Florida with one hell of a rock star cocktail of opiates in his system. And I think that was the bottom for Tiger. And because of his kids, and because he's now healthy for the first time in 5 years, but he's spiritually healthy and emotionally healthy for the first time, I think, in his life.
Why? What's different?
I think because I think what happened on that Florida road was a complete wake-up call for him. And I think now he sees his children. He does not want to have the life that he had with his parents for his kids.
And you say, what did you learn about whether he's used performance-enhancing drugs?
Well, there's a chapter called Miracle Workers that I worked on a long time on, and it has the most definitive statement to date, the most authoritative statement to date from Mark Lindsay, who is Tiger's chiropractor, who says, and Mark's had his hands on Olympic athletes all around the world, and says he does not believe that Tiger used performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, perfect timing. You know, I doubt Tiger would read this book, but he should. It would be very, I think, helpful and enlightening even to him.
Thank you.
It's really very, very, very well done.
Thank you.
And just in time for the Masters. Look at that. Armen Keteyian and Jeff Benedict, we thank you. Tiger Woods goes on sale tomorrow wherever you like to buy your books.